Every image which we have of Henry Keeling Ellyson shows the man when he was full of years. The bust, and the portrait, and the engraving, and the studio photograph all show the man when he was in his late 60s. But Henry Keeling Ellyson burst upon the Virginia Baptist scene when he was a very young man. We only can imagine how youthful he must have appeared. It was a good day in the life of Virginia Baptist when in 1847 this young man attended his very first meeting of the General Association. Already the older leaders had been impressed with the young man. Some knew that at age 14 he had learned the printing trade and had soon opened his own publishing house. They had heard that at age 18 he had professed faith and joined the Second Baptist Church of Richmond. At 19, he was active in the temperance movement and traveled across Virginia promoting its cause. At 20, he became the superintendent of the Sunday school in his church. At 23, he was publishing the Journal of the Foreign and Home Mission Boards at his own expense. Clearly, Henry Keeling Ellyson was a young Baptist leader on the rise. Today we have a descriptive word for such persons, and we call them emerging leaders. And now, a month shy of his 25th birthday, Henry attended his first meeting of the General Association, and much to his surprise was elected as the official leader of the organization. His title was Corresponding Secretary, equivalent to today's office of Executive Director. For the next 45 years, he was the voice and face of the General Association. He also was its chief visionary. He was an unusually gifted layman who quickly understood Baptist polity and work. He was an energetic and resourceful businessman who applied much of his good financial sense to the Baptist organization. Although the budget allowed for a salary, he never claimed it. His income was considerable, and it came from many business interests, including the publishing of the Richmond Dispatch, the forerunner of today's Richmond Times-Dispatch. Across the years, he generously gave of his financial resources. The General Association itself was the same age of its young leader. The General Association had been formed in the summer of 1823, and Henry Ellyson was born that same summer. They were a perfect match. By the time Ellyson became its leader, the General Association already had enough of a history that it was obvious where improvements were needed. For example, the General Association had helped start many new churches, but they remained dependent upon the mission board. He recognized the need for the new churches to become self-supporting, as well as a source of income for the state's mission work. Another example was the small and undependable support of the BGAV churches for the work of the state missions program. There was no plan for unified and systematic giving. Under his leadership, a study committee was appointed, the Committee on Cooperation, and it helped move Virginia Baptists forward in regular giving by the churches to undergird the work of the State Mission Board. When Ellyson began his work, the state missionaries were largely located east of the Blue Ridge. There were few missionaries serving the vast region of the Valley and the Southwest. Ellyson envisioned a continuous line of Baptist churches down the valley, from Harper's Ferry and Winchester all the way to Abingdon and Bristol. It was an era of church building. During his leadership, enough new churches were constituted that 6 new district associations were formed: Shenandoah, Augusta, Blue Ridge, Clinch Valley, New Lebanon, and New River. Ellyson sent a map maker to travel across Virginia and discover where Baptist churches existed. Ellyson served on the board of directors of a Virginia railroad, and he knew that the Iron Horse was going to travel all across Virginia. By 1882, there were 2,400 miles of railroads and more to be constructed. New villages and towns were being created. Ellyson urged Virginia Baptists to plant new churches wherever the railroads built a depot. Ellyson wanted the Virginia map to have many new churches. Henry Keeling Ellyson coined a slogan which was appropriate for the 19th century, but it also is timeless. His slogan was, "Virginia for Jesus." And he had another favorite saying, "A Baptist church in every neighborhood." By 1890, the General Association had almost 100 state missionaries scattered across Virginia, with most of them in the western regions. They were evangelists, converting over 800 in 1 year alone. They were church builders, constructing over 50 houses of worship in a 5-year period. They were helping to fulfill the vision of Henry Keeling Ellyson to claim Virginia for Jesus. Year after year, Henry Keeling Ellyson, the young man who grew older in years but always young in vision, kept before the Virginia Baptist people the ways to advance the Redeemer's kingdom. In one of his annual reports, Ellyson stated, "Virginia for Jesus must be kept prominently before all our people, that they may be inspired to press on to greater victories. For the Lord is with us and bids us go up and possess the land in His name."